One day away from the start of Week 2, will the Bucs or Panthers pick up their first win? That is straight ahead on NFL Total Access with Scott Hansen and Lindsey Rhodes.
We start tonight with the latest on the accusations against Antonio Brown. Today was Antonio Brown's first practice as a Patriot, and it came 16 hours after he was formally accused of rape. A civil lawsuit has been filed accusing Brown of multiple instances of sexual assault. The accusations come from a woman who used to work as Brown's personal trainer. Brittany Taylor said in a statement, quote, "As a rape victim of Antonio Brown, deciding to speak out has been an incredibly difficult decision. I have found strength in my faith, my family, and from the accounts of other survivors of sexual assaults," unquote. Brown, through his attorneys, denies the allegations. A statement from Brown's attorney reading in part, quote, "Mr. Brown denies each and every allegation in the lawsuit. He will pursue all legal remedies to not only clear his name, but to also protect other professional athletes against false accusations," unquote. The statement goes on to portray Brown's accuser as motivated by money and says the relationship between the two was consensual. All of this making for a surreal first official day for Antonio Brown as a Patriot. AB did not speak to reporters. Bill Belichick did as part of his regular Wednesday news conference.
Do you have any comment at all on the Antonio Brown allegations that are out there?
No.
Not a word to say?
Didn't I just answer that? On Antonio's situation, both Antonio and his representatives have made statements, and so I'm not going to be expanding on any of those. They are what they are. We've looked into the situation. We're taking it very seriously, all the way through the organization. Sure, there are questions, but I'm not going to be entering into a discussion about that today.
Can you tell us at all what Antonio Brown has said to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm done with that. Okay. Anything else on Miami?
Done with it in what way, sir?
Any other questions?
Can you explain what you mean when you're done with it? I mean, we're just trying to find out if he said anything to you about his position and about the allegations.
Yeah, and I just answered that question.
Well, actually, you did.
Actually, I did.
Thanks, everyone. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so both the Patriots and the league dealing with accusations against one of the highest profile players in the game. Let's start with Mike Giardi, who's with the team in Foxborough. Mike, what's the Patriots' plan going forward?
Scott, the Patriots' plan is to continue to prepare Antonio Brown like he'll play in the game on Sunday in Miami, albeit with a serious amount of uncertainty regarding his situation as the NFL continues to investigate the allegations. I think one of the things that you noticed today was the tenseness of the situation, not only with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, but the players in the locker room who are being forced to talk about the allegations that Brown faces when they barely know the player. This is only his third day in the building, actually second considering Tuesday was a day off, and only their first practice with him. Devin McCourty telling me, look, everybody in this locker room is not downplaying the seriousness of the situation, but we have to be pros here. We have to get ready for that game. I think Matthew Slater summed it up nicely, though, when he said, I don't think it would be wise for me to speak on a situation that I don't know much about, but that's sort of the spot the Patriot players were put in by the Brown acquisition and the news that came with him.
Yeah, Belichick saying that the decision will be made day to day, so more questions leading up to game day on Sunday. Ian, the league's reaction tonight is what?
Well, what the Patriots said late last night in a statement was that the NFL would be investigating this situation. So basically, the Patriots put it in the league's hand, and that is exactly what they are going to do. The alleged victim has said in the lawsuit she would come forward and cooperate with the NFL. Expect that to happen rather quickly because, of course, Scott, time is of the essence. They're going to try to get all the facts as quickly as they can. Meanwhile, the league does have options. One of those options, a strong one, is to place Antonio Brown on the commissioner's exempt list. That certainly is an option. The only thing here is it would be a rarity, if not unprecedented, to do that for a player facing charges for a civil lawsuit rather than criminal. Remains to be seen if that is something, that is the direction that the league goes in. I'm also told that neither the Patriots nor the NFL knew about this situation before Antonio Brown signed with New England a couple of days ago. So there certainly is some newness there. And then, as Giardi mentioned, the possibility of Antonio Brown actually playing on Sunday. Usually, guys, history shows when a player practices on Wednesday, if eligible, he is likely to play. You'd have to think that unless the league steps in, at the very least, there's a real chance that he's out there against Miami.
Ian Rappaport, Mike Giardi, thank you both.
Football now, and the first game of the week just hours away in Carolina, where the Bucs landed a couple hours ago. Jameis Winston looking for his first win on the road since 2016. He's lost 12 straight road starts. Also lost one at home last week, as did the Panthers, who came up 3 points short against the Rams, but got a massive game, Tiffany Blackman, out of their running back, Christian McCaffrey.
They did, Lindsay. He was on the field for every one of the Panthers' offensive plays. Even Coach Ron Rivera said it's hard to take him out when he's in a rhythm like that. Now, McCaffrey was limited in practice yesterday, and that's because they gave him somewhat of a rest day. So he should have some fresh legs, and he has had success against the Bucs. When you look at those last two meetings last season, he had over 150 yards from scrimmage and combined for 3 touchdowns. I asked Coach Bruce Arians about the impact that McCaffrey has, whether he has the football or not. And Arians told me he's so versatile. They line him up at running back, at wide receiver. They use him as a decoy, but he said we probably won't see him at decoy that much because he's their best player. As for the Bucs offense, well, quarterback Jameis Winston, he had 3 interceptions on Sunday. And since coming into the league in 2015, no one has more turnovers than he does. Well, I spoke with Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly about Jameis and those turnovers, and he told me, I think he's just not afraid to make a play. He has trust in his guys that he can put the ball up and that they'll go get it. I also spoke with fellow linebacker Shaq Thompson. He told me one of the concerns with Winston is his ability to extend plays. Lindsay, he said he is sneaky fast.
A lot to work on there for Tampa Bay, Tiffany. The giveaways, the red zone, the deep ball, all of it problematic last week. James Jones, Willie McGinnis, what's priority number 1?
Well, for Jameis Winston is to go out and not perform like you did last week against the San Francisco 49ers. Throughout his career, he has had a lot of inconsistencies in throwing the football, making good decisions, and seeming like he's been forcing a lot of plays, JJ. And you know this. Yeah. When something's not there or you're trying to press and trying to make a play, it usually turns into a bad play. And when you look at the interception throughout his career, he's number 1. He's thrown 61 interceptions. His record, win, losses, he's 21-34. That's the biggest thing. Are you a winner? Can you go out? Can you put this team on your back when you don't have as much talent? They went out. They've gotten talent throughout the draft, free agency, whatever it has been, put around Jameis. Just hasn't been consistent in doing what he needs to do at the quarterback position.
45 passer rating for Winston last week. That was worst in the league by a lot. How about the Panthers, JJ? You heard those stats that Tiffany threw out there. He's killing it, Christian McCaffrey. How do they get the rest of the guys going?
You know what? It's crazy because Willie spoke of inconsistent by Jameis Winston. That's the same with Cam. He was an MVP in our league, but he's an inconsistent thrower. His last 1,000-yard receiver was Calvin Benjamin. And before that, it was Steve Smith Sr. And those are 2 guys that make the big, tough, big body catch, and he's used to throwing to those guys. He really can't throw his receivers open. So everybody wants to say which receiver is going to step up. Well, it's really on Cam, and Cam really can't get these guys the football. So it all leans back to Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey is the bell cow in this offense. He's the best player in the offense, and they use him everywhere. We obviously know he's a running back. This is in between the tackles, great cut, downhill. He never gets tackled by the first guy. Then they line him up, motion him out the backfield, line him up at wide receiver. He could be a receiver in our league. This is teaching tape right here for a wide receiver. Widen the guy, run a slant route, catch the ball, knife it, get up the field. And then right here you have him in the slot. Right here, choice route. We call this a choice route. You got a 4-way go. And he chooses to go on the inside. If Cam throws his ball in front of him, he possibly running away from this linebacker. And then right here, you put him in the wildcat. Any chance we could get the ball in his hands, right here, touchdown. He is the bell cow in this offense. He is going to have a lot of touches this season. Hopefully, he can withstand the hits and stuff that he's going to take, but they have to find a way to get the ball in his hands more because they cannot lean on Cam to throw these guys open down the field.
A lot of quick passes this offense, a lot of short passes. Cam Newton's air yards per attempt just 6.3. And we've got someone else here with lots to say about that.
Yeah, Lindsay, when it comes to former MVPs, it takes one to know one. So to talk about Cam Newton, we have the former MVP and Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, who joins us every Wednesday here on NFL Total Access. All right, Kurt, Cam really didn't go vertical a whole lot in week 1. What do you need to see in week 2, if anything, in terms of arm strength or accuracy?
Yeah, Scott, one of the big questions, I heard him addressing it on the podium, was just about his arm strength. He said it felt good. In watching the film, I didn't really have an issue with the arm strength part of it. There was a number of times he threw some deep out-cutting routes, from one hash all the way outside the numbers on the other side of the field. It looked like he had plenty of arm strength when he really let it go. My biggest issue in what you just saw there was that he missed some layups. And what I mean by that is throws that you have to make as an NFL quarterback. He missed 5, 6, 7 of those that could have changed the complexion of the game. And so when you ask what I need to see, I just need to see him more consistent, not necessarily making decisions, but putting the ball where it needs to be so they make those layups, which will help the entire team to put out a better performance.
Yeah, when Cam was asked by the local media about his arm strength, he kind of bristled there a little bit. And he says, go tell the Tampa Bay defensive coordinator I don't have any arm strength, and we'll see what happens on Thursday. He's ready to try and show out here on Thursday Night Football. Meanwhile, I have never been a quarterback in negotiations for a $100 million plus contract. But if I was, I would like to have the game Dak Prescott had in week number 1. He was darn near perfect. Any other questions for you about the Dallas Cowboys QB?
I think the only question is, can he carry this team with his right arm? But, they locked up Zeke. They got a good young defense. He may never have to carry this team with his right arm. But that's what I always want to see when we're talking about $100 million quarterbacks. But thought Kellen Moore did a great job of creating opportunities. Different guys stepped up. They just played the part. And Dak did exactly what he was supposed to do, was consistent, made big plays, and I think leaves all of us excited about what the Dallas Cowboys could be this year.
Yeah, absolutely. They looked balanced on offense, and we know or assume that Zeke is only going to pick up more steam in the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. That's Kurt Warner. We will see him again later in the show. Kurt, load up your top 5 quarterbacks from week number 1. See you in a bit. All right, latest headlines right now. Bad blow for the Oakland Raiders. First-round draft pick Jonathan Abraham is expected to miss the rest of the season. Abram injured his shoulder and will have surgery to repair it. The 27th overall pick had 5 tackles in his NFL debut on Monday night. Tyreek Hill is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks with his collarbone injury. Ian Rappaport reporting that Kansas City does not plan on putting him on injured reserve. The team has ruled him out for this week against Oakland. Another injury to Chargers tight end Hunter Henry. Sunday against the Colts, he broke a bone in his left knee. The Chargers are hopeful that he can return in about a month. Henry missed last season with a torn ACL. Some other notable injuries going into week number 2. Joe Mixon's ankle injury has him questionable. Darius Geis is doubtful with his knee injury. Expect Adrian Peterson to get the start in the main workload there for Washington. And then the 3 players there listed as questionable.